Happy Wednesday, UnWoke Nation. I'd like to welcome you to episode 124 of the UnWoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys, Rich and Tim, bring you the latest and greatest for your entertainment, baby. I'm your host, Rich, along my co-host here. How you doing, Tim?
Great, guys. UnWoke Nation, glad to be back with you guys this evening. Man, it feels like it's been forever since we talked, even though it was last week.
Yeah.
You know? But, guys, we're going to do some housekeeping, as we always do on the UnWoke Show. If you're just tuning in for the first time or your friends are asking where can they find us, guys, you can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Listen Notes, Podchaser, Boomplay, Good Pods. Guys, we are on all the major podcasting platforms. Tune in, check us out. There's plenty of great content for you to download and listen to. Give us a like, subscribe, and you can also reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. And tonight, guys, episode 124, we are talking about theocracy rising, why some want to repeal women's right to vote.
Oh, this will be a good one.
Yes. So there is a controversial pastor preaching that women's right to vote has hurt families.
What?
Yeah. Pastor Doug Wilson of Moscow, Idaho. Yeah.
Podolsky.
Yes, exactly. So he has made his argument in a discussion about masculinity and men's duty to represent family in the church and society. So we're going to have to backtrack here a little bit to a time in America's history back as far as the 1800s to a little known movement that was called women's suffrage.
Okay, well, I remember it.
Okay.
History lesson.
Yep, history lesson for sure. So the women's suffrage movement, it began in the mid-19th century. Several generations of women lectured, wrote, marched, lobbied, and practiced civil disobedience to achieve what Americans considered a radical change in the Constitution, guaranteeing women the right to vote. Some suffragists used more. I'm trying to find where this was coming from. Used more confrontational tactics such as picketing, silent vigils, and hunger strikes.
Okay.
So the 19th Amendment, which guarantees the women's right to vote, was passed in 1920. Okay. So from 1920 to 2025, and then you throw in the 40s, 50s, and 60s,
right?
With the women's movement and burning their bras and wanted, equal rights and everything, right? Well, according to this pastor, Mr. Wilson, again, he said the decision to allow women to vote stemmed from Americans believing the lie of individualism that hurts the institution of families. He goes on to say, when women were granted the right to vote, the nation had already accepted a lie that a nation is nothing more than a collection of individuals. And so the matter was framed this way: men as individuals can vote. So why cannot individual women do the same?
Okay.
We were so muddled, we thought we were giving the franchise to women when we were in fact taking it away from families.
So made it straight. Sure I understand this correctly. So as you said, so he basically is trying to say by allowing women to be able to vote is actually considered a detriment, I guess, to families?
Correct. Now, Wilson, who is 71, has long made headlines for his controversial actions and words. He's become known for being a figurehead of moderate Christian nationalism. Okay. And having a lax view on pre-Civil War American slavery.
This got a little more interesting.
He's also faced criticism for his church's handling of sexual abuse cases in its congregation. Critics have contended that Wilson's church vied for leniency for convicted abusers, sided with alleged perpetrators over victims, and discouraged victims from speaking out.
Wow.
Breakdown of family structure causes men to become spiritual eunuchs.
Spiritual? Really?
Yes. Wilson has gone on to say that the men of our generation have had a failure of nerve. They have abdicated their responsibilities, and we are consequently in the midst of a crisis of leadership.
Okay, I will agree with him on that in general.
Wilson said that men have not kept God's covenant, which has caused cultural chaos.
Okay. Is that the end of it? It's like, because he's going to come home with this whole thing about women can't vote, right? So
let's talk about Christian nationalism.
Okay.
As a political theology that co-opts Christian narratives and symbolism, Christian nationalism has its own version of the elect, those chosen by God.
Okay.
They are people like us, meaning conservative, Christian, but also white. So that ties into the lax pre-Civil War slavery. Natural-born citizens.
Okay, but it's specific that they must be white.
Correct.
Okay.
White natural-born citizens. Moreover, in a prosperous nation, only the elect should control the political process, while others must be closely scrutinized, discouraged, or even denied access.
Okay, that doesn't sound right at all, because who actually decides who's going to be the elect? That makes absolutely no sense at all, where you're just going to pop up and just say that you can just be part of the elect, where it's like, this is not sounding right at all. It's just not good.
This ideology is fundamentally a threat to a pluralistic democratic society. So it is important to note that by Christian nationalists, we don't necessarily mean all white theologically conservative Christian groups. In fact, we show in our book that traditional indicators of religious commitment and Christian nationalism oftentimes influence people in opposite directions. The threat generally comes from Christian nationalism embraced by many conservative Christians as well as non-Christians, rather than from all committed Christians.
Yeah, because the sentence said that it's from all Christian nationalists, where I don't think that everybody who believes in protecting their country or who happens to believe in the Bible or something like that believes in this way, this manner. You know, one thing I've always learned is that, especially when it comes to religious manners, and also you got to be really, really careful about who you listen to. You really, really do. I mean, it's like not every pastor or bishop or whatever the case may be might think the same way. And also, and of course, if you don't really know what the word's like, I mean, you'll believe anything, so, but yeah, this guy's saying that, women being able to vote, where it's like, is a problem was I just, like I said, I'm a conservative, man, but I don't believe in...
The 20% of white Americans who strongly embrace Christian nationalism, about 30 million adults, are more likely to believe that we make it too easy to vote.
I can say that in general. Forget the women part.
They also support hypothetical policies that exclude those who could not pass a basic civics test from voting, or policies that disenfranchise certain criminal offenders for the rest of their lives.
Okay. What's your take on this, Tim?
So we were talking off show earlier, right? Mm-hmm. Remember when Trump was getting hammered by that conservative association? What was it? The
Heritage Foundation.
Yeah, remember he was getting pummeled by the Heritage Foundation.
Because we did a show on it. It was basically stating a lot of people on the left were very concerned that this proposal that the Heritage Foundation was trying to put together, they thought once Donald Trump would get in the White House that he would implement as a national type of policy, which he, by the way, did not.
But then he has since kind of leaned.
Yeah, he leaned away from it. You're right.
He leaned away from it. But then when he got into office, I think he's kind of leaned more towards it a little bit in some ways. Wilson goes on to say that men have not kept God's covenant, which has, like I said, has caused cultural chaos. He claims humanity is designed to operate by means of covenants, especially the covenant of marriage, the institution of the church, and the civil order.
Okay.
Wilson said that these institutions, which have been made by the hand of God, are at their core made up of families. Families, he said, need to be represented by a head of household, something society's current view of masculinity fails to do.
Yeah, there being a leadership, and also, I don't know, is it them putting that in the same way as you had talked in the beginning when they said that there's a missing of leadership, where, so is that considered part of what you just explained?
Well, we have talked about toxic masculinity before.
Yes, we have.
We never thought about giving, just because it didn't dawn on us, this notion of Christian masculinity.
But what does that entail?
God-fearing, good old Christian boy, go to church every day.
Go to church in general, yeah.
You know.
I mean, I guess that would put me somewhere. It's like, you know, somebody is being... I mean, because I believe in people being...
I agree. Is it using religion to justify, in this case, you know, we've talked about head of household. You know, we've talked about, you know, that men went to work. Women took care of the kids, took care of the house, right?
Yeah, because you realize, man, 40, 50 years ago and there like that? So a guy could sit there and work a job and be able to take care of his wife and two kids, no problem. Now we're in a situation where it's like you have to have two parents in that particular case, being able to work. Completely different story. Nobody had an issue with it. You know, but it's just obviously things become more expensive and da-da-da. And also, but yeah, it's just a different mindset then.
Wilson said that true masculinity requires a man to represent his household to the other governments established by God, including the church and the civil government. He said, when family structure breaks down, society hurts families. And this is how we're going to tie it all back in.
Okay.
The nation failed to recognize how men are ambassadors of their families when women receive the right to vote.
Men are ambassadors of their families when women receive the right to vote?
No.
When they give it up?
The nation failed.
Oh.
to recognize how men are ambassadors of their families.
Just by allowing a woman to vote? That doesn't make any sense at all. Women have been, as you just stated the word, so women have been able to vote since 1920, based on the 19th Amendment. So now, darn near over 100 years now, 105, okay? We've had women who have been able to vote for over 105 years. And they've been having basically no problems being able to still be moms and be soccer mom, whatever the case may be, work their jobs, build businesses, and everything like that. So to make this assumption that society has failed just because you gave women this one law that basically says, hey, you have the right to vote, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm a more traditionalist guy too, but that just doesn't make any sense where to say like, oh, okay, so what are we saying now? That's like that she's
inferior. Just call it out.
Yeah, just saying it's like, okay, what it is? It's almost like this pastor's trying to say like, look, women are stupid and we should not allow them to be able to vote. Well, where'd you come up with that conclusion? I mean, it's like, I'm no feminazi or anything like that, but I'm also a person that believes in just doing what's right. And what's right is, yeah, they are American citizens. Women should have the right to be able to vote. We've had many, many women who have done tremendous things that have made society what it is. So to sit there and to make this assumption where that it's like women are inferior to be able to do that, it's like, that's kind of weird. Now, I do understand, and you and I had talked about this, before the show too, the idea of men being able to be that person to take care of his family, protect, and all the other stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm all that. So I gave you an example earlier. I was watching a video. It was on TikTok, and I guess it was like a social experiment. I've been noticing they've been doing a lot of these lately. But anyway, guys, just kind of pointed out to you on Woke Nation is that it was a video where this guy was walking down a sidewalk one way, and there was these four girls that were walking in the complete opposite. So obviously they're both walking towards each other. And what the guy does, he looks like he's like scared he's running from something, and he runs off to the side, and the girls get startled as well, and they immediately start to run over to the same side the guy was, but then they start huddling around him and like hugging him. They don't know him from Adam. And I'm kind of like, that's kind of strange. Why would they do that? Why did they do that? So I played one time.
Yeah, because it's the man's job to go and
for protect,
for protection. So, according to this guy, women lack the discernment to vote and therefore shouldn't be given the agency or shouldn't be given the ability.
This is what he's saying?
Yes. Yes, women are more easily deceived than men.
You know where he's getting that from, right? All right. I gotta just say the truth here.
According to Joel Wieben of Right Response Ministry, which partners with Wilson on lectures. Mm-hmm. Wilson goes on to say, yes, the 19th Amendment was a bad idea.
I totally disagree with it. But what I was going to say earlier about telling the truth to where, so this pastor trying to say that women can be easily deceived to where, so where he's getting that from is actually going back to the Garden of Eden in the book of Genesis. But there's a part though where everybody seems to forget about it. Here's the part people forget about. They sit there and they kind of go, it's like, oh, well, Eve ate the apple and that's where sin came in, like that. Here's the part they tend to forget here, Timmy. While she was about to eat the apple, it's like that. So Adam was standing right next to her. Yeah, spoiler alert. People don't understand, or they sit there and they think it's like, oh, women is the cause of the downfall of the downfall of man. That's actually not it, because the Son of God was standing right next to her. Listen to everything that she was being told and like that. So
Because he didn't know any better.
Huh? Oh, he knew better. No. He knew better. He knew it was his job to sit there and say, like, okay, you're the first. If you knew that, okay, if I step out my back door, you knew first, and that there was going to be a line back there, and then all of a sudden where you saw your wife stand out there, so on the back side, are you just going to sit there and stand? No, you love her too much, you're going to make sure it's like that. No, this son of a gun just stood there while it was all going on.
Well, to your last point, it depends on how much you like your wife.
Okay, I ain't going that way. It's like, you're on your own with that one. But the point...
Is it cheaper than a divorce? I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
But
just as messy.
But your next point. So yes, I love my wife.
He had to clean that up.
No, but in that sense of Adam telling Eve not to eat.
But dude,
are you because in that sense, the statement, yes, women are more easily deceived than men.
But I'm saying, Tim, that's where he gets it from. He's making it sound like as if...
Well, so what you're saying, he's bastardizing part of Genesis to fit his narrative.
Yeah,
okay,
and that's what's just like no, that's not true. And also, it's like Adam knew what not to do. Where her being a helper, he should have been able to step up as a man, because you had just said too, it's like, just being able to be that lead and everything like that. And he didn't do that. So it's kind of like who's really the blame here? So it's like, when Sun Tzu says in The Art of War.
Are you saying she didn't know better?
Well, actually, she repeated what it was, but even so, he didn't stop her.
No, but my point in that is, if you're saying it's the responsibility of Adam to have stopped her.
He's responsible.
Are you saying she didn't have or didn't possess the ability to say
no?
No, because God said you can have whatever you want in
outside of the tree. I get that,
except
the tree of good and evil, right?
Yes, except for the apple from that tree. Mm-hmm. Adam's like, yo, dude, we cool. Yeah, but I got no problems. That's right. Now, Lucifer being who he was, he got bounced out of heaven. Mm-hmm. He's repping hell. Mm-hmm. Not a big fan of God's sociology project.
Sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Definitely going to screw with him.
Yeah. He's a little pissed.
Yeah, he's a little pissed. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, then, Lucifer knew it would be easier to deceive woman than man?
Potentially. It's a good question, but potentially it's just based on what happened.
So then in that narrative, then, is it really still Adam's responsibility to have stopped her?
Yes. I think it's wrong where that people try to blame everything, knowing that when my sister says, it's like, I will bring you a helper, and the fact that he already knew aware, so that it was what his responsibility.
I will bring you a partner. He's like, man,
same thing.
I don't want you to roam. Because, we were just chilling under the tree.
Yeah.
Weather was great. Mm-hmm. We didn't even know we were naked.
Nope.
Okay. We were completely clueless. Mm-hmm. And then one night, God says, hey, when you fall asleep, I'm going to borrow one of your ribs.
Actually, before that, he said it is not good for a man to be alone, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he's like, I'm going to give you somebody. Mm-hmm. Full knowing what was going to transpire.
Yep.
So in that instance, does she really have the ability to choose if God already knows?
It's the whole point of free will. That's a complete story. And I know we're kind of getting off subject here.
No, but it ties back into the statement that he was saying that, yes, women are more easily deceived.
I just don't believe that. I just don't. That's my beliefs of how kind of.
So I would agree with you in that aspect, right? I mean, we're talking about women's suffrage. I mean, we did get off on a religious tangent, but it ties back into all of this.
Sure.
And, going back to really the 1800s, again, 1920, because at that time when the Roaring 20s were getting ready to kick off from 1920.
It was in the 20s.
Yeah, 1920 to, almost 1930 was considered the golden years before 1930 when the recession hit and the banks collapsed and everything, right? Going back in our American history. And so with that, the notion that women were easily deceived, I would go the other way. Women are more capable of influencing.
I could say that. Yeah, I can say that.
I mean, because they got an amendment added to the Constitution and got it passed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yet, Douglas Wilson is essentially saying women are morons.
Yeah, that's just me. I feel that if I'm looking into a church and I hear a guy, say something like that, it's kind of like, nah, this is wrong. That's not the way you should be looking at, like you said, to look at, just women are just pretty much, morons. And it's kind of like, not that he said that, but that's the implication.
That is the implication.
Right.
Is there a masculinity tone to this?
To what he's saying?
Well, in his reference to head of household, the woman should tell her husband what she thinks, but ultimately the man makes the decision in terms of voting, for example.
A hard thing. It's a good question, man. And I know that you're going to find people who might be on my end whose beliefs like, okay, taking the time to, listen to your wife or something like that. And then you will find some people who do have that mentality as you were just discussed.
Right.
And also, so that's kind of a hard, oh man.
Because it sounds like you're using masculinity for sure. Mm-hmm. To justify part of your argument. And as I said earlier, he was using Genesis to bastardize, or he was bastardizing the book of Genesis to also
make his point.
To justify his point.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, the guy's 71 years old.
Yeah, he's probably pretty stuck in his ways.
Well, he is stuck in his ways, but think about it. Think about the time frame he grew up in. Probably what was it like in his house?
Well, yeah, the likeness is where he probably grew up at a point where it's like the father was always the one and the mom just stayed at home. And, it's like that. We just say yes, sir, no, ma'am, and all the other stuff. Or so it's like, dad's law was God,
right.
Basically. So, and that's probably what he grew up with. And also, but I think the thing that we're having a problem here is this man is just saying that basically it's almost like, women are pretty much, just
stupid. Women are
exactly.
stupid.
It's like, basically, shut up and make me a sandwich. And it's
right.
just kind of like,
and
okay. It's like,
because you're easily deceived.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you have no business making, every, election year, you're not smart enough to make the decision for voting.
Yeah, because when we get back to it, it's like just to have this thing to think that women can't actually make a very good, intelligent understanding of certain candidates and what are important to them and all different things. And here's the thing where it becomes important. So, because if you really think about it, even in the election that we just went through back in November, there were two groups in that election that people did not think was going to make an impact. Number one was the black male.
True. And we have talked about that.
Yes, exactly.
Previously.
No one expected the black male to be as much of a difference maker in exactly how the outcome of the 24 election came.
Yep. We talked about that in our red wave.
Right.
episode.
Exactly. So now the second one is exactly what we're talking about. It was mostly suburban females.
Yes.
And I think what happened is they thought, and this is how it turns into what you're saying, me supporting with women voting, is they thought because there was a female candidate in Kamala Harris that they figured women would just basically fall in line and just vote for her regardless if she had policies or not. Only for women, once given surveys and found out what things that they actually do care about, went the complete opposite direction. Now, why could that be? Could it be that they actually took the time to say, hey, there are certain particular topics on a national, local, and scale that are very concerning to me as an individual, maybe an individual, not only just as an individual, but there's things that are concerning to me when it comes to my family or my local neighborhood or something like that. Well, that would show that someone actually has to have some pretty good intelligence to sit there and look at two different people's perspectives on a topic and try to make the best one for them. So therefore, when I'm listening to a pastor sort of making it sound like women are just too dumb to be able to figure that, knowing that they played basically another 50% of how this election just came out of, I think he needs to recheck his facts there.
Or,
okay,
and I'm going to leave it on this point, women were easily deceived. UnWoke Nation, we would love to get your thoughts on this episode.
Like that.
Guys, you can reach us at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com.
All hate letters go to Timmy.
Rich, a pleasure as always. And remember, everybody, stay unwoke.
Take care, guys. See you next time.